This conference will now be recorded.
All right, I'd like to welcome everyone to the Town of Southbridge Board of Health meeting, June 10th, 2021. It is 6:01 pursuant to, where did it go? Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law and the governor's March 15th, 2020 order imposing strict limitation on the number of people that may gather in one place. This meeting of the Southbridge Board of Health will be conducted via remote participation to the greatest extent possible. Specific information and general guidelines for remote participation by members of the public and/or parties with a right and/or requirement to attend this meeting can be found on the Town of Southbridge website at www.ci.southbridge.ma.us. For this meeting, members of the public who wish to watch the meeting may do so in the following manner. As usual, via cable access TV Charter Spectrum 192. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. In the event that we are unable to do so, despite best efforts, we will post on the Town of Southbridge website an audio or video recording transcript or other comprehensive records of proceedings as soon as possible after the meetings. All right, we'll open this meeting. It is 6:02. Roll call.
Beth Stevens.
Here.
Roland LaRochelle.
Here.
Anthony Postoli.
Here.
Nicole Duffy.
Here.
Thank you.
All right, agenda item number 3, accept the meeting minutes from the May 13th, 2021 meeting. Did you guys take a look at them? Were there any issues?
Not that I.
One incorrect thing on page 3, where it discussed, I said what the times and things of the vaccine clinic is. The clinic is open Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday from 7 to 6, and walk-ins are from 10 to 4. The minutes say the clinic is open Wednesday through Friday, and that is incorrect.
Oh, I didn't catch that. Good eye.
They're not doing weekends anymore, right?
No,
Okay.
no weekends, and they're closed, what, Tuesday?
They're closed Tuesday and Friday. They're going to be closed Monday the 21st because that's 3 weeks out from Memorial Day. And the notice came out that they are going to be having their last day of operation on July 1.
Yeah, I remember you talking about Memorial Day. Yeah. Thank you.
All right, so do we have a motion to accept, or do you want to hold off till that's fixed? Roland?
No, as long as that wasn't a vote or anything, that was just kind of info. So
Okay.
I'll make a motion that we accept it as amended.
Do we have a
I
second?
second it.
Perfect. Roll call.
Roland LaRochelle.
Yes.
Anthony Postoli.
Yes.
Thank you. Beth Stevens.
Yes.
Thank you. Nicole Duffy.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Agenda item number 4, Citizens Forum. Anyone here that would like to discuss anything that is not on the current agenda? All right, moving on. COVID-19 update. Andrew.
If I may, the town of Southbridge seems to be moving into a slight upswing right now with an additional 6 cases today, 7 cases today, 6 or 7 cases today, 6 yesterday, and previous to that we had several days with none. So we seem to be in a small spike right now. The town sits in the gray because over the reporting period, the 14-day reporting period, we only had 10 cases. However, with already over the last, since the 4th, we've had well over 10 cases. So we're going to slip back into the green. I think we're going to be hovering between the green and the gray for the next, hopefully, couple of reporting periods, and then we should settle down again if we follow the state's scope.
Excuse me,
The
Andy,
clinic
are
has
any
done
of
a
those,
total of 60,000 persons. Southbridge has 8,300 with a first shot and 6,800 with fully vaccinated. Of that, there was some concern at the state regarding the lower served sectors in the town of Southbridge. That would have been the Hispanic sector. But of the 8,003 with one shot already, 4,400, which is better than half of them, are Hispanic. And of the 6,800 that are fully vaccinated, 3,724 are Hispanic. So the town of Southbridge is doing generally better than the state as far as tending to and response to our minority population. Other than that, we keep moving forward. I investigated 20 cases today, but that involves contacts and stuff like that too, not just the primary cases. We still get some calls from daycares and businesses reporting cases. I follow up on these with CTS, but they're becoming fewer and fewer. So I think Southbridge is climbing out of this. As I put in my reports, as of the 15th, which I believe is next Tuesday, the state of emergency will be over in Massachusetts, and I will no longer be doing the daily reports, although I still will have to open every case and follow up on them. CTC, which is a group that we have been using to do our follow-up investigation, our case tracking, their contract has been renewed through September, I believe. So we still have coverage doing that.
Andy, hang on one second.
Hopefully,
Nicole,
yes.
can you, hang on one second. Nicole, can you mute, please? Getting a little bit of feedback. Thank you. Sorry, Andy, go ahead.
All right, following September, I don't imagine they'll continue the CTC because the obviously the emergency is over and the state will have significantly fewer cases, predictable or prediction. We'll have to revisit this here in Southbridge and determine how we're going to go forward. I'll probably just ask Cheryl to pick up the extra hours and do the case follow-ups if we're doing like 1 a day instead of 3 and 4 a day.
Okay.
So other than that, I'm clean if anybody's got any questions.
yeah, I've got a question, Andy. I just wanted to know, out of the 6 and 7, are any of those within the same household? I'm just curious.
Yes, I've had 3 today in the same household. I had 2 yesterday in the same household. And actually I had 3 cases in the same household, and then 2 cases in the same household today. So they are within the family unit.
Okay, great, thanks.
Anyone else? All right.
I don't know if Roland has an update on the clinic.
You're muted.
The only update that I have is what I gave in the correction of the minutes. That's the only, it's decreasingly, it's getting less and less each day. And the hospital sent out a memo. They're closing July 1st. They're going to be open a clinic the following week. And it's going to be in the building where they have their testing site. So they're doing roughly on an average 20 new people a day. The rest of them are revaccinations.
Excellent.
All right. So we good? Holy cow, that's like the shortest update we've ever had. All right, new business. Discuss well water concerns at 555 Pleasant Street. I see Mr. Gregoire is here. Andy?
Mr. Gregoire did write us saying that he had cloudy water or discolored water. Asked us for information regarding any wells that the landfill would have had to drill for their closure response. I did respond to Mr. Gregoire and got him a copy of the well, including the depth as we know them. And I do not know the standing of Mr. Gregoire as well as we speak, but Mr. Gregoire is here.
Good evening, everybody.
Hi, Steve.
How you doing?
Good.
Yeah, Andy's correct. He sent me a lot of good information on all all the wells around the landfill. Basically, my concern was this: as I understand it, there was 2 new wells put in towards the end of the runway on Pleasant Street. I don't know if anybody's been up there. You can see there's 2 new roads that were blazed into the woods on the left towards the end of the runway. And I guess on the sometime the last week of April, those 2 new wells were put in, and they're 1,000 feet deep. And just a few days after they drilled those wells, I ended up with extremely dirty water for about 2 weeks. I'd waited about a week before I reached out to anybody because I thought maybe it was a natural thing. And then I said, hold on a sec, let me do some digging. That's when I reached out to Andy. My concern is that for that well being drilled and for that sediment or disturbed material from underground to come in this direction generally means that the aquifer is flowing in this direction, which is a distinct change from a previous when the aquifer used to flow into the H-foot road, Berry Corner Road area, which we all know is why we ran a water line over there, because their contamination was going in that direction. We basically tied 90 homes into the water line, the public water line, which is a significant amount of draw to the aquifer that's now missing. And the pull of the aquifer is now coming this way, I believe. And, you know, it obviously is, because if it wasn't, the sediment would have gone away from my well towards Charlton or Sturbridge. Instead, it came towards Southbridge. So knowing a thing or two about water and what can be in it, I'm quite concerned right now. The one good thing I can report is the water has cleared. The disturbance from the well has settled back out in the aquifer. So for now, the water is clear. But I guess now that we know it's flowing in a little bit different direction than it may have been, I think we need to be more concerned about what's in it in the Southbridge wells.
So Steve, did you have your water tested?
I haven't yet. I plan to do it soon. I wanted to talk to the board as well, but yeah, I'm waiting. I'm contacting the company we use through Whitewater to have it tested, but I didn't know if I can use, if that would be a conflict if they find something in it. I guess I was gonna be one of my questions to the board here is what you guys would like to see for testing.
I mean, I just feel like that would, if, I don't know, that this is gonna sound kind of rude, but I kind of feel like if there was such a concern, that would have been the first thing that I would have done, was gone ahead and had my water tested to see if there was something going on with it.
Yep, and I can definitely use a company that we use at work often. I didn't want there to be a conflict, you know what I mean? If I came back with a sample and now it's a resample and, you know.
But it's your water.
Oh yeah.
Roland, go ahead.
On this reports about the wells, because these are new wells going on the west side of the airport, was there any, and I don't know if you got any reports, Andy, of, yeah, okay, it's one deal of when they were drilled and how deep they go. What were the readings out of the well? Was there any contaminations in those wells? Or
I haven't seen.
have they start taking readings? And
These
why
wells,
did they go there?
these wells are relatively new. I have not seen any testing yet. I will touch base with Anna to make sure I haven't missed something. So I can check with her tomorrow. She's not in tomorrow. I lied. I can check with her Monday. We can see what the results of those tests were. As far as Mr. Gregoire's comments on, are we worried about conflict of interest with him taking his own sample? I would suggest the board look at his as a possible test well, if you will. And if he does find contamination in it, then it might be worth the time for the board to look further and maybe look to the look to others on the hill to see if there is contamination flowing in that direction.
I hate
Look
to
for the
say, but
common ones that we found in the wells.
I hate to say, but I disagree with you, Andy. That the
That's fine.
landfill put in test wells to the west of the landfill.
Yep.
I want to see results of the test. If the aquifer is now running in a different direction, the landfill should be automatically testing the Southbridge residents' wells in that area and monitoring it. This is what happened when we were all sold the flow going north and east towards Worcester Street. They tested all of the Charlton's people's wells. They got a grid. They had to put in a water line with some of our taxpayers' money. And now we're going to play games with our own taxpayers. I disagree with you. Those wells should be sampled, and Casella should get up there. And if they're moving towards another location, questioning flow, then they should be getting their butt off the seat and test our own people's wells. We should not have our own people going out, testing their own, and anybody being used as a test dummy. This is a landfill. Things flow. It went twice as deep as his. If his water line, if his aquifer is at the 500 foot, they have now just drilled 1,000 feet and put a coupling between both of them. We need to know where this stuff is going, and we need to protect our people first.
Ms. Marcucci, can you mute, please? Thank you. I don't know,
I mean,
Andy.
somebody's got to have records of samples being taken out of a newly installed sample well that is now 2 months old. I can't believe the samples weren't taken, and I have a hard time believing that if one person is out, we have to wait. There's got to be records out there. This stuff has to be done. This is a Board of Health. We're not the toll booth, okay? The excuses have to stop. We need these records. These people should have clean water. We did it for another town. It's
But Roland,
not
so my only question is, this is the first we're hearing about this. So I'm just curious if anyone else that lives up there has had a problem, because I haven't seen anything online. And Andy, have you had anybody besides Steve contact you?
I have not. I will point out that Steve, I believe, is the first house in line.
Okay,
But if he was having troubles for 2 weeks and then, I'm not questioning Steve's logic. Steve worked for the water department. I know he knows water flows, but we don't know if it's something else that agitated the ground, the excessive rain we got. I don't know. That's why I was proposing that we at least find out what's happening in Steve's well, find out if the contaminants are there before we spend the exorbitant money to do all of the wells and or put in the line.
well, and so again, like that's my question. Is we haven't heard from anyone else up there that has had a problem. So I'm kind of, you know, I get what you're saying, Roland, and I don't dispute anything with Steve. Because I know he knows probably more about water than most people. But I just wonder, like, if it's gone, and the only thing that we know is that his water wasn't good for a couple of weeks and now it's gone, but it's not even been tested. I think we're jumping the gun if we don't even have results from the samples that were taken from the well.
If I may, I'll get a priority on finding those results if a sample has been taken yet. I don't know how long between drilling and the first sample they take, because obviously they want the well to settle and everything. So I'll find out if they took samples, and I will get you the results of the samples as quick as possible. If you feel that there's something scary in the results, then we can call up a special meeting just on this topic.
Here's my concern though. Here we are, June 10th. Mr. Gregoire sent the email to the Southbridge Board of Health on May 10th at 5:20 p.m. A month has gone by and there has been nothing to try to see what is in the test wells. If the test wells were absolutely clean for chemicals, I would be the first one to say to Steve, put a filter, because the test well showed us nothing there.
So point here though, Andy said there has to be a certain period of time for the well to settle before they start taking samples. So here is, and I'm not picking on Mr. Gregoire by any stretch of the imagination, but to me, if all of a sudden nobody had answers as to what the heck was wrong with my water, I'm sorry, but the first thing I'm doing is going and getting my water tested if I'm that worried about it. It seems kind of crazy to me that now we're, oh my God, you know, hair's on fire. We need to know all this stuff, but we don't even have a water sample. We don't even have a well sample. So I don't know that we can just go full on and do all this stuff. I think that we need to have a water sample test and B, a well sample test. Because it may be nothing. It may have nothing to do with the landfill. It may have nothing to do with anything, or it might, but I think there's too many what ifs in this scenario right now for us to be yelling that Casella has to do all this work when we don't even know if it's anything. Go ahead.
I am not yelling about Casella doing work. My concern is when I get contacted by, as a member of this board, my concern is this. He had a concern. He reached out to the Board of Health. Andy forwarded him the report he got from Anna. And then it stopped. We're a month later. Andy, did you not say you're not sure when they can take well samples after they drill? We don't have that information. Maybe they took samples. We don't know. Did the board ask? Did the office ask? We don't know. My problem is we've got a month down the road. I am a member of the Southbridge Board of Health, and I had a Southbridge resident contact me on what to do, and I'm the one that told him to send Andy an email because he asked me, what do you know about the sample wells? The only thing I know about the landfill sample wells is their holes drilled in the ground.
Right.
If
Well,
I
I'm
know
not.
everything about it, my question is why don't we have answers? Why doesn't this poor resident have answers? And it would be simple. If you got to wait 90 days for everything to settle to take samples, that's an answer. We don't have that answer. And if they
I'm
took
not
samples,
saying-
what are the readings? That's the problem. Okay, things don't get done.
I'm not saying you're wrong, but but at the same time, we have no information. We have zero. So I don't know how we can make a snap judgment or a sound judgment at that when we don't even know anything. We don't even know if his water is contaminated. We don't know if anyone else had any problems because no one else has come forward. So
That is my question, Madam Chair. Why don't we?
Hey, so
well,
let me-
it's entirely possible that no one else has the problem. So, I mean, Tony, go ahead.
So Andy said he's going to look to see if there's any results. How
Right.
long, Andy, how long will that take?
Miss Anna will be back in the office. She has analyzed all the records. If the record exists already, and I don't remember it passing my desk, what happens is it passes my desk. I see what it is, and if it's a report for the landfill, I pass it on to Anna because she is my landfill expert, and I specifically say if there are things of concern. I mean, I breeze through it. Anna analyzes it. I tell her if there's things of concern, get back to me. So I can tell the board she has not gotten back to me with anything. However, I do not remember a set of samples from these wells crossing my desk. I will look into it to see if I missed it, and I will report to the board that they did cross my desk if I find them, and I will report to the board if there's anything scary on it. My bet is there is not because Anna would have told me, but if we are in error and Miss Anna and I are not communicating, we'll straighten that part out on my end. But Mr. Gregoire is, and I'm not, Steve, by no means throwing you under a bus. I would hope that Mr. Gregoire would be in contact with me if he thought that there was more that could be done. Steve and I have worked great together in the past, and I hope we continue to work great together. It's been a great relationship. He asked me for the depth and the date of the drilling, and I supplied that information. And at that point, I thought it was a dead issue. I didn't know we had anything to worry about at this point.
So Roland, would you agree? I think you got a couple of issues on this, Roland. But the primary is the well itself and the results. I think allowing Andy to look for this and he said he'd make it a priority. I get that you're looking at a May 10th email.
And it's more than that, Tony.
I know.
We're sitting here as a Board of Health representing everybody, and the first I heard that new wells were drilled, I know I brought it up years ago because there's new wells drilled next to the old ones. And it was told, and this is back before COVID, Tracy told us that they're updating the wells.
Right.
Great, perfect. Now they're going on a whole different other side. And you know something, I don't remember this board even being sent anything explaining that they have expanded their watch territory. Because my first question would be, why? And that's what happened in Charlton. They expanded their territory, and then it proved with their test wells that it was moving. My concern is I haven't heard, and if any one of you heard anything, I didn't realize that they even drilled new wells up there until Steve talked to me. My question was why? He reached out to Andy, and Andy gave him the drill reports. But why are they drilling the wells out there? I got on this board to represent every citizen of Southbridge, not to take action if we get up to 10 or whatever. This is a concern to me because if it was my house, I'd be concerned about the health of my family, not knowing on why are they expanding the field. What do they know that we possibly do not? I might be all wrong. Prove it to me. That's what I'm saying, Tony.
I understand.
And this is a month that these people have been doing whatever they've been doing. Hopefully not bathing in all the because we've already got a precedent-setting problem. We had to put water in Charlton. It was unhealthy. They couldn't drink it.
And again, we
I'm
have
concerned
zero
about
water
that.
samples, so we don't even know that. And that's my issue.
My issue is why don't we? That's my
Well,
major.
okay, so Roland, so it's twofold. So it's not just on the part of the office and the landfill for not having well reports, but again, and it boggles my mind. If I was overly concerned about my water and that there could be contaminants in it, the first thing I'm doing is going and getting my water tested to relieve my sensibilities. So here we are a month out and no one's done anything. No one. So I think it's foolish to be jumping the gun here. I understand it, but we have no data, we have no information, we got zero. So I just don't know what it is. Nicole, go ahead.
Yeah, I think that, like, I'm like you. If I saw something in my water, I'd absolutely, get that tested right away. But I know some people, they're not so, they'll like, we'll wait a few days, it's probably nothing. And I think it would be worth it if we could reach out to at least the neighbors and ask them if they experienced any of that in that time frame. I would be curious to know that.
I still want to just go back to Andy and just say, like, I guess getting those reports, if they exist, is really the priority right now. There's so many issues right now that Roland brought up that it's a whole separate meeting, actually, Roland, and I agree with you. I agree with you. But the point of the matter is right now, it's these wells and at least getting our eyes on the tests, if they even exist.
Right.
No, that is the priority.
I'll call Casella tomorrow, make sure that they have or have not tested those wells. And I will talk to Anna when she's in on Monday, and we will find out if we have results in this office.
Okay.
But Roland, your comments don't go unheard. I do hear what you're saying. And I agree with you.
All right, Steve, do you have anything to add?
No, I mean, I appreciate everybody's input on this. Twofold, I just wanted to get the potential change in the aquifer direction on at least the radar of the Board of Health. I think we've pretty much covered that. And I will be getting my well tested. Like I said, I just wanted to make sure you didn't want me to go through Ty and Bond or whoever the engineer is currently, or do it on my own. More than happy to do it on my own and share the results.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. All right. Now that it is 6:30 and we missed our 6:15 public hearing to amend regulations for our storage and disposal of solid waste,
I need a motion to open it.
I'm gonna open, I know I was, we'll open their hearing at 6:32 PM.
Can we get a motion to open it?
Can I get a motion?
Motion to open.
Second?
Come
Second,
on, Tony.
I know, right?
Roll call. Anthony Postoli,
yes.
Nicole Duffy,
Yes.
Beth Stevens,
Yes.
Roland Larishon.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Andrew,
All right, at our last meeting, we discussed amendments. We made a couple of edits. We inserted those edits. Copy went to the town manager's office for distribution to the councilors. I have gotten no comment back from the councilors. We put a ad in the paper in accordance with chapter 111, which we are adopting this law under. So it was in the paper for the proper time, and we have gotten no feedback from the advertisements. I would ask if there's anybody here who wishes to comment on the amendments to the Town of Southbridge Board of Health Code of Regulations, storage and disposal of solid waste.
Roland,
I appreciate you, Andy, sending it to everybody, but I am not voting on this because you never sent it to us. I don't have a clean copy of the amended. I don't have, there was nothing sent,
Edit it again.
huh?
I think the only edits I made,
Were what? We don't have a clean copy. The last meeting,
I
I
sent a
made,
draft and a clean copy the last time. And I believe we reviewed the whole thing and I don't remember any edits.
And the board agreed to take a
Um,
review it.
I had already put in your previous request for edits.
what's that?
I don't remember what they were. I have a clean copy. I sent you a clean copy. But I had already at that point put in your request for edits. There were two or three things.
The last copy I have is in March. And in the last meeting on the finalize the solid waste, okay, I requested to add the words per parcel. 6 families per parcel. So that's an amendment. I knew this wasn't going to be an early meeting, Tony.
well, it is for us. It actually is because,
Well, it's going to be because you guys leave it done.
right.
I mean, copies went to the paper, copies went to the council, copies went everywhere. The last meeting, we have it in writing. I wanted the amendment. We talked about that because of the Lower Main Street issue, because there was 2 buildings on a parcel that added up more than 6. And now we're going to vote on adopting a bylaw that we don't have a clean copy to see. I don't operate business that way.
So can we postpone?
Right.
Well, then that was my fault because I was the one who did the amendment and I didn't forward it to the board.
All right, so
Really my error.
My office.
we postpone once we get the,
Yeah.
The motion at this point, if the board wants to go that route, is to table it. We don't have to re-advertise because it's already been advertised and anybody in attendance would know we're tabling it. But the motion would be to table.
All right, make a motion to table it.
Second?
Second.
All right. Vote.
And that'll
Ms.
go
Stevens?
towards that. Are we gonna do this in one amendment for both articles on the,
Well, and so that's what I was just thinking. Do we have to open the other one and do the same thing? Or can we just tie both of them because they go together?
You'd have to open, because we announced it as two different hearings, you'd have to open
Yeah,
it
we
as
have
two
to do it
different hearings.
separate. Okay. So, all right, so we have a motion on the table to table this.
Second.
In a second. So we'll go ahead and
Yep.
vote.
Yep. Beth Stevens,
Yes.
Roland Larishall,
yes,
Anthony Pasquale,
Yes.
Nicole Duffy.
Yes.
All right, hearing closed, 6:37. All right, oh, now we go on to Blight, because the other one is 6:45. So
Okay,
we
nope,
don't,
that's fine. I was gonna suggest we put the Idlewood, move Idlewood, but it is the next item. Right.
yes,
So on Idlewood, last meeting, actually, I think I reported at the last meeting that I had gone in there and under a section that didn't require a hearing, I declared it unfit for human habitation because of the conditions I found. We had then asked the courts to bring it back to court. We ordered the place secured. The town of Southbridge actually bought the locks and put security on the doors. We took the animals. Those are being transferred to a sister of the owner who lives in Georgia. So the animals will be shipped out of state through our animal control. My understanding is that the owner is living in the driveway in her car. I have told her that that is not going to be acceptable. But I do not have an alternative for her to live at. I have gotten Elder Services involved. They have been in touch with her. They are having no more success. And her sister has offered her a place to stay in Georgia. She refuses to move to Georgia. My recommendation to her was to take her sister up on the offer until she can get her life together and figure out what she wants to do back north again. As of right now, I am running 2 parallel tracks. I have a court case scheduled for next week. What I'm going to do in that court case is ask the courts, one, to mandate she take whatever resources the courts can find available to her. I did give her a list of resources. It's about 15 to 20 resources. I'm going to ask that the court mandate she take whatever resources she is available. I'm also going to ask the courts to order her, and this is going to be painful, but I'm going to order her to either get me a contract to have the house cleaned and repaired, or have the house removed. And failing that, for the courts to tell the town to do it. So I'm going to be looking for a 7-day contract within 7 days of the court date. If that contract doesn't happen, I'm going to have the courts include that the town will move in and take down the building. I have no interest in cleaning the building. I don't think it's savable. But parallel to that, I am going to move through chapter 143, which is the building department. We have declared it an unsafe buildings, especially in case of a fire. We have declared it open to rodents and the weather because of the rotting eaves. And we have declared it a hazard because of the additional weight. You may or may not know a floor of a house is designed for 40 pounds per square foot. We estimate between 80 and 100 pounds per square feet in that building. And my building inspector did note that there was some buckling of floor joists. So we are going on a parallel path. We are putting it before the council at their next meeting. Actually, on the 23rd, it'll go to subcommittee, and then the following meeting, we're going to try to get it on for the council to vote to order the building inspector to go in with whatever resources he has to take the building down and to restore it to natural grade. So hopefully, either the courts or the council will work with the board and cause this to happen. It's the shortest route I can get it to be done. The reason I'm going 2 routes is I think the town has a right to do it on their own. I want court backing because it has been expressed several times that we do not want to put the town in a liability situation, and taking somebody's house without due process would definitely put us in liability. So I want to protect that if I can. So I'm going the parallel routes because there's a possibility the courts will look at me and say, Mr. Pelletier, the town has the authority to do this on their own. Either way, I have to get either an order of the court or an order of the council. So either way, we're looking at least a week and maybe 2 weeks before I get that decision, depending on if the courts do it or the council does it.
Okay. And so then so either way, then we still had to go through the process of finding someone to do it and then all that stuff, correct?
Once we get the order, either from the court or from the council, then I will instruct Mike to put it on a short leash to get a bid out, probably a 2-week bid, gives people time to respond to it. And we will specifically look at companies that have taken down buildings for us in the past, and we will invite them to bid to make sure we get some bids. We will specifically send it to them. There is no law against that as long as we advertise it appropriately. I'll have to work with Heather. She is the expert on doing Chapter 30B bids. So as quick as 30B lets us to get it done, I'm going to have Mike start working on the bid next week, and we'll get the bid out and hopefully be able to turn it over within 2 weeks of somebody saying go.
Okay. You guys anybody have any questions? I see Miss Marcucci here. Go ahead.
I'll yield to Nicole. She's on the board. I'll yield to her.
I didn't see.
That's clean. I can talk anytime.
Nicole, do you want me to speak or?
You can go ahead. Go ahead, Ms. Marcucci.
Yeah, Andy, I appreciate everything that you've done. And it's a little disheartening to hear you say that you might go 2 routes when you've been at that house and in that house, and you know it really is unrepairable, and it has to be knocked down in order to have any type of repair. Sharon lives in her car in the driveway. She's there every day. She comes in at night, and I leave my house at 7:10 in the morning, and she is sitting in her car with her car running. I've called a couple times because it's my understanding that once a piece of property is condemned in the town of Southbridge, that the town is responsible if there's an injury to the person that's on that property, because it's not just the house that's condemned, from what I understand, it's the property. The property includes the house. She's got crutches out there now and she's limping. Those are against the house. So if the town wants to take on that responsibility, I don't want to call the police department every day or call you every day to say Sharon is homeless and she's living in her car in the driveway. We've watched her live in her car for years. Through the winter, in the middle of the night, she gets out, she sits in her car to heat herself, for heat. It's a little frustrating as a taxpayer in this community that I should be afforded some type of right that I can go out in my yard without the smell of dead body. And if you've ever been around a dead body, which I have been, this is what it smells like. I've got raccoons, I've got possums, she feeds the squirrels, she has bags of feed in her house. I don't know what else needs to be done to get this over and done with. It's a little frustrating. We've been dealing with this for about 10 years, and it's daily. She has more rights than us, and I don't even know if she pays her taxes. Actually, her dogs got treated better than her, if you want to be honest. Her dogs are being taken care of. Nobody's taking care of Sharon. No one's following up on her.
Ms. Marcucci, I understand your frustration. Unfortunately, there are laws that we have to follow. We can't just yank somebody's property and just tear it down because it's a disaster. And I fully understand. We have had this discussion about the length of time that it has taken to get to this point, and Mr. Pelletier knows how frustrated I am. We have had these conversations that we're still looking at, early fall, late summer, early fall before this gets put to bed. And that's frustrating to me as well. But unfortunately, you can't just, and we've had this argument, and I'm actually I'm going to yield to Mr. Pelletier.
The department, as you know, I have the building and board of health departments. We have one of two routes internally and the legal system externally. None of the routes will move any faster. The board of health declared it unfit for human habitation. The law is very specific that the board of health can take the building down 1 year after that declaration. That's why I chose not to go the board of health route. I thought 1 year was ridiculous in this case. Not only because of the odors, but if we let this go too long, we are going to be overrun with rodents. I've been in the building. It's scary enough. It's a breeding ground for rodents if we don't take care of this thing. The other route is through the building department, which says that the building inspector can go in there. He can determine that it's unsafe for a number of reasons. He did that. We've already issued the order. We have to order the owner to correct it. And when the owner fails, which she did, we have to do what's called a border survey, and we have to bring a group together, and they have to agree that it's a bad house, that's got to come down. We did that. The next step is to move it to the council to state that we did all these steps, and the council has to vote to order the building department go in and deal with it. So at this point right now, as I said, I have it on, and I think I misquoted the date. I have the court date on for the 16th. I have the PPP meeting on for the night of the 16th. So if the court says no to me, or if the court says, Mr. Pelletier, have the town handle it, it's going straight to PPP that night. If the courts say yes to me, I'm canceling that, and I'm going to go the court route. And then PPP hopefully will approve it. If the courts don't, it'll be on the next council meeting. And at that point, if the council says yes, go. Either way, it's got to go to the council. So either way, we are tied by the timeline. So I can't move this any faster at this point. The law requires I take step 1, 2, 3, and I'm at the point where I'm doing that. Ms. Marcucci, I know this has been going on for a long time. After you called me, I went through the record and I found the letter from Mr. Chris Clark, which quickly referenced it, and then he dropped the ball, and then there was another health inspector who came in and he dropped the ball. And I know you called me about 1.5 years ago, and straight up, I dropped the ball on it. I took up the ball in January, and I have been diligently moving that ball forward, hopefully to the point of completion. The estimated date by Beth was based on a discussion she and I had. I chose these other routes because I think I can move it faster, and I'll be looking more towards, if I can get the votes by the end of June, I'm probably looking more towards the end of July, at most the first or second week of August.
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you. So, and I appreciate that. I'm glad somebody's finally moving on it. I just don't understand. And I understand you have to go through that process with the courts. I'm not ignorant to that fact. And I know it might take a while, but I just don't understand how a house in that condition and what's in there. Now, I have a neighbor that kills 33 mice a week, who's a next door neighbor to this lady. Thank God we don't have any in our house yet. And when you talk about rodents, we're getting rodents, and it's summertime. There's no air in there. It's filled with garbage to the ceilings, Andy, and you're well aware of that.
Yes.
What is going to happen to my property? I'm not saying to circumvent and bypass the process, but when you tell me August, that's a little frustrating. I've been living next to this for years. And if you get the approval from the courts and you get the approval from council, Why are we going to the end of July and August to demolish this house? Because you might as well just demolish mine because I'm getting infested.
So,
And
so
not fair.
Ms. Marcucci, he did explain why, because you have to wait for the court order, and then once you get the court order, because it would be the town that's doing the demolition, they have to put it out to bid, and it
Oh,
has to
I'm well
be,
aware of the bidding process. I'm
It
well
has-
aware.
you have to have the bidding process, and then it's when it's accepted and when they're able to do it. Trust me, we have had very heated discussions as to why this can't be any faster, because I feel for you guys. I have been over there. It is atrocious, and it bothers me to no end that you had to deal with this for so long. That said, we're at the home stretch. It just stinks that it's just not going to be as quickly as everyone wants. Roland?
Just a question, Andy,
Yes, sir.
the last tragic hoarding situation that we had in this town that resulted in a fire. And in my life, I've seen a lot of fire buildings that are deemed a public hazard and are taken down within 24 hours. How can we say that this one, structurally unsound, a biological hazard, with, now that you tell us the floor joists are bending, if somebody trespasses and the building falls down on their head, the town of Southbridge is liable? Why can one situation be deemed so dangerous that 24 hours has got to come down, but this one has to go through a multi-step process? I am just concerned about, how was the last one taken down? And you know the negative garbage that your building inspector went through when he gave that order. But he gave that order and it was taken down. I don't think it was cold yet from the fire. It was taken down because it was deemed unsafe. This one is just as unsafe in my book. And the other part of this, we're talking about a building. My other concern is the psychological and physical welfare of that poor resident. Because she doesn't want help. People with a problem, you don't have to be a Dr. Phil to understand this stuff, but they don't want help. They don't think they have a problem. And then you got to turn around and be a Judge Judy. And how she isn't forced into treatment for her own health and allowed to live in her car, knowingly live in her car that's illegal, is beyond me. There's got to be there's got to be something. We're just letting her sit there and rot in her front seat.
So Roland, we're going to move on because there's, if she is declining help, there is nothing that anyone can do about that. The only thing that they can do is they can shoo her away from the property. That's it. Ms. Marcucci?
Thank you, Beth. I just got another comment because I don't want to keep going around because you could talk about it all night long. This is my concern. Sharon or Miss Wayne is a heavy, heavy smoker. If anybody comes into the driveway, it's a dry season. You come up to the house, I mean, we smell her smoke all the time, and that's totally irrelevant. My concern is she lives in her vehicle. The driver's side and the driver's passenger side has no window, so she's got a garbage bag there. She's got a blanket on the other side of the curtain where she's sleeping. I get up in the middle of the night because I'm always afraid that there's going to be a fire. She's what they used to call like that one match person, that all you need is that one match and you can smoke your cigarettes all day long because it's just a constant. She's running her car. That's a big concern of mine.
So
And then another thing, Beth, I don't know if she's here. am I calling anybody? Is she allowed on the property? Is she not allowed on the property? I don't know. I'm
Andy,
afraid for us and I'm afraid for her, to be quite honest with you. I don't want to see anything bad happen to this lady. She's a human being. I feel bad for her. I don't want to see anything happen to her. I also don't want to see my house burned because of careless disposal of cigarettes. And like I said, all you have to do is come up here and look in that driveway. She sits in her car, she smokes and tosses, smokes and tosses.
go ahead, Andy.
I just want to point out that I am not an expert on psychology. When I see her in her environment, I get it. But the owner of this property was sectioned. The experts determined that she was not keepable, if that's a word. I'm trying to make her take whatever services are available, but I can't force her. The property remains hers until the town forecloses, even after the demolition. So understand, I know what the end outcome of this thing could be, and I'm in death fear of it. However, I can't overrule the experts. All I can do is move forward with what's available to me to move forward. Hopefully, in the end, she will still be around when we get to the step where the courts either order her to take assistance or when senior elder services finds her at a place to go. I have been in contact with elder services on 4 separate occasions regarding this one. All I can do is work as fast as the experts can let me work and as fast as the system can let me work. I understand Ms. Marcucci's concern. I understand being the neighbor of that. If that goes up, hopefully there's enough buffer to save her house, but she is not in the building, Roland. That's the difference. She's not in the building, and the building is not an instant threat of collapse. The fire that we had that you referred to, we busted through a support wall and took out probably 40 to 50% of that support wall. That building was going to come down because the support wall was removed from it. So that one was an imminent threat to anybody who was there. It was a wide open building. This building is secured. If somebody goes through the effort of trespassing in this thing, then again, I'm with you. I don't want anybody to die in there, but I can't keep anybody out of anything. I can just do the best I can. So right now, I have put all the security I can on that place. We go by that place at least once a day, minimum once every 2 days. So I'm just following the system at this point in time.
Nicole,
Hi, I just wanted to address Darlene. Darlene, you know, I apologize as well. It should not have taken this long, and it is a sad situation. But I do want to point out that the difference here is that it is being addressed. This is the first time. This is going through the courts. She was assessed. All parties are involved, and that's the bright light with this anyway. It's taking a little bit of time, but it's set. It's going through motion.
all right, anyone, anything else? All right, so we're gonna move on to our 6:45 public hearing. If I can get a motion to open.
Motion to open.
We have a second
Second,
vote.
Anthony Pistelli,
yes.
Nicole Duffy,
Yes.
Roland LaRochelle,
Yes.
Scott Stevens.
Yes. All right, so the 6:45 public hearing, amendment to the Board of Health fee schedule, open at 7 o'clock. We just gonna go ahead and table this as well. Do we have a motion to table?
A motion to table it. I was waiting for Tony.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
All right, vote.
Beth Stevens,
Yes.
Roland LaRochelle,
Yes.
Nicole Duffy,
Yes.
Anthony Pistelli.
Yes.
All right.
Closed at 7:01. Nope, table, do we have to close it if we table it? No, we don't close it if we table it.
No, we're not.
Okay,
All right, moving on, 215 Hamilton Street.
it's 7 o'clock. Do we need to close?
So I have probably 5 minutes. Tony, you needed to leave by 7:15. So
Okay. All right, 215 Hamilton Street. We met with the engineer today who's going to be doing the 34 review on this thing. The closing for this house, if the 34 review is favorable, is scheduled for the end of this month. If they don't close, we will be going back to the owners, which is a bank, the agent for the owner, and we will be telling them that we're not going to be playing this game forever and ever. We're going to order them to take the building down. So right now, we have an engineer working on the 34 review. If the sale goes through, we're going to let them go through and rehab the building. If not, we'll order the building taken down, and we'll move that one forward through the courts.
anybody have any questions?
I'm good.
All right, 495 South Street.
195 South Street, I was going to try to take this out of the courts and move it through the council. However, either way, I got to find the owner. This is the one that I informed you last month I could not find the owner on. So rather than go that route, I talked to the lawyers today. We're going to ask for what's called alternative service. When there's certain laws in the state that say that if you are a owner of a piece of property, you have to tell the town your accurate address. If you aren't an owner within this town who rents property, you have to have an agent within so many miles. So we're going to ask for alternate service. Probably going to end up costing the town about $1,000 for this alternate service. But if he fails to, and the alternate service will probably consist of an article in the paper, asking anybody to respond to it, posting at the building. The courts can get clever on alternate service. So we'll ask for alternate service. The courts will say that the alternate service is accepted, I hope, and we'll get service on potentially nobody, but at least we have done the best we can, and the courts can recognize that as the best we can, and the courts will allow us to move forward with the demolition. It's a building that is absolutely not savable. Definitely got to come down. So we just got to make it legal so that the town doesn't end up in any kind of civil liberties for taking somebody's property without compensation.
All right,
Andy, are the bills paid on that house? Taxes,
Yeah.
water, sewer, all that?
I have not checked. I do not remember if they are or not. I've got about 13 of these where I'm keeping in touch with the treasurer to see if the taxes are paid up. I cannot specifically recall that one. But I went through the police department, and Shane can find anybody. Shane came back, he said, give me 20 minutes. He called me back 2 days later and said, no way, this guy's a ghost, cannot find this guy. We have a post office box for this guy. We sent this guy a letter. Actually, we have a post office box. Shane tried to trace it through that. Comes back to 495 South. There's a car on the property without any plates, but with a VIN. Owner comes back to 495 South. It keeps coming back to 495 South. Even Shane could not find this guy. We sent a letter from our attorney. He didn't respond to the letter. I don't even know if the guy's alive. I just know we can't find him. So we're going to ask for alternative service on this one.
okay. 320 Main Street.
320 Main Street is vacant. The bank put it up for auction. The bank did foreclose. They put it up for auction. The bank did not get the bid they want, so they put their own bid in, and they won the property at auction. However, they haven't filed the paperwork yet. So we are in a Hunter Foot swears he doesn't own it because he lost it at auction. The bank swears they don't own it yet because there is no papers filed on the ownership. So the department took it upon ourselves to go out and purchase locks and at least secure the doors. We are going to issue an order on the new owner, who we suspect will be the bank, in short order, basically listing every violation of the place, and in two categories. We're going to list one category as must be done regardless, and we're going to list the other category as must be done prior to occupancy. And we're also going to include a Board of Health will get eyes on this thing prior to occupancy. What we're going to include in the must be done is fire alarm system, There is a second means of egress, which is a fire escape that walks across an open roof. So we are going to insist that they put a barrier up on that roof so nobody can walk off the edge of it. And the third one is to clean the property, much like the property we just discussed. There is filth in this property and it will generate rodents if they don't clean it. So we're putting those on the must happen. If they don't happen, or if we go way too long with the other violations and the bank just sits on this property, I will move it to the Attorney General for receivership. But bank being the new owners, I want to give them a shot at this.
Okay, my only question is, there is mattresses and all kinds of junk that are in the back of the building. Are we going to just take care of that and bill them?
My suspicion is that I am not going to get anybody to clean that up. So I'm going to put a couple orders on it. And then I will get, there is also a window open on the upper floor. I don't know if you noticed that in the back.
Yes.
But we will get somebody in to board that up. At the same time, we're probably going to have him board the front door because the front door is kind of compromised on its hinges. So we're going to have him board the front door on the inside and paint the piece of wood black. So whoever we get to do that, we'll ask them to clean up the mess in the backyard and also the mess on the roof. There's a mess on the upper roof.
Of course there is.
So the town of Southbridge will end up eating that cost and leaning the building. If this goes to receivership in the end, the first thing that happens in receivership is any debt due the town gets paid.
Right. Yes, Roland.
Andy, is all the fines and everything attached to Mr. Foot or his corporation? My
They are
concern
attached to Mr. Foot.
asking that is if he still owns property in this town. And like anybody else, if you owe the town money, you shouldn't be getting any permits or being able to do any work. And I just wondering if that's attached to him, that we can put some leverage that way.
It is. The
Okay.
debt is still owed by him.
So if he wants to improve the sober house, he's got to pony up.
Unless it's a life-threatening situation, in which case I would waive the requirement.
All right. Any other questions about 320 Main Street? All right. Public Health Excellence Service Grant.
I sent some paperwork regarding this. We have been working with about 6 or 7 other towns. Actually, we offered it to all of South Central Mass, but about 7 towns wanted in on it. There's 2 aspects to this thing. The grant is for $300,000. We have the grant. All we got to do is do a agreement to join. The grant is for, we broke it into 2 sections because a lot of these towns are small towns that don't even have an inspector. So we are looking to hire an inspector to be shared by the towns within the group to supplement their current inspectional abilities. But more important, I thought, to the town of Southbridge, and this is something I petitioned for, and Webster quickly jumped on the wagon, was for a special programs type people to help us do proactive stuff. Initially to identify, probably through a health study, what the needs are. I know I did a health study about 6 years ago, and we came up with 5 significant needs in the town of Southbridge, but we want to make sure they're the same needs. And then the towns that are in this organization would share that position. I sent you some paperwork regarding the memorandum of agreement to join. I believe the Board of Health does not have that authority on their own. I believe because it's a regional project, the council would have to buy in on it, but the board is supposed to weigh in before the council and give a recommendation. I think it's a good use. Somebody from the board would have to sit on the operating board of this region. But I think it's a good opportunity for Southbridge to, we're really bogged down in responding. As you can see from these meetings, we're responding to a lot of stuff, and it's bogging down the resources here. If we could get a grant to pay for somebody to help us address the proactive stuff, the asthma, the substance abuse, the domestic abuse. The other 2 were housing, which we're taking on in a response thing, and asthma in town. So if we could get somebody to take those on and stop writing grants and looking for grants to become self-supportive, I think there's a future in Southbridge in this grant if the board is in agreement.
No, definitely I would be.
I mean, I don't have any opposition to it. I thought it was great that we were included in this and you know, we're eligible to get this money. Roland, Tony?
No, I saw it too, and I thought, it's a great thing.
I haven't even had a chance to read it, so I don't have an opinion at this time.
Okay. So,
So I would encourage the board to absorb it. I can invite you to our next meetings, just to sit in and listen to what's going on with it if you want. But at our first meeting in July, we'll be looking for support from the board. And then I will try to move it to the council for the last meeting. And hopefully we can get some sort of letter of agreement with the group and become part of this. It's a 3-year grant. One thing that isn't totally worked out yet, we kind of got it half worked out, is sustainability after the 3 years. We're hoping the grant will be renewed, but after the 3 years, during the 3 years, we'll be looking for more beef in sustaining the positions. I truly believe that the proactive person doing beneficial programs, I think that there is a lot of grants at the state for the type of things that we want to put in programs for. So I think that can be self-sustainable on its own. The other half of it, we're going to have to figure out how to sustain that after the grant, after they stop giving us grant monies for this basic program. But that is to be figured out during the program, not after. After the 3 years, we'll be given the opportunity to bail out.
okay. Anything else?
Right. No, that will be on the agenda for the next meeting for a concurrence vote by the board or a support vote by the board.
All right. So moving on, because it's that time. Chairman announcements, I got none. Andy, got any House Director announcements?
I just, because of time, I'll make it real short. We did a cleanup. We did about 6 miles of the town. We had well over 60 people in attendance. It was just a really good event, considering we're just coming off COVID and we had to kind of downsize our volunteerism to keep us away from each other.
Yeah, it was
I'm
good.
good.
We have board member announcements. Roland,
Yeah, we don't have enough time. I'll forward it in an email.
Tony,
Nope.
Nicole,
No, I'm good.
schedule next meeting.
Second Thursday in July is the 8th.
Does that work for everybody?
Yep, 6 o'clock, right?
And by the way, I believe we have to go face to face if I remember what the council voted the other night.
Well, it's the end of the state of emergency, so I think that it's fine.
Yeah, the council voted, I believe, that after the 15th, all meetings will be, because the governor's recommendation about the open meeting law goes away.
Right.
I believe that is one of the items that they are considering at the legislature, whether they should keep that going.
Oh, well. It'll be nice to see everybody again, like for real. And on that note, do we have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
Do we have a second?
Right here, second.
All right, vote.
Beth Stevens,
Yes.
Nicole Duffy,
Yes.
Anthony Pasali,
Yes.
Roland LaRochelle.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, we'll close this meeting 7:15 p.m. All right, guys, gotta go.
Bye, have a great weekend. Bye.